All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Telehealth Tuesday. This is your go to podcast for insights on modern healthcare and wellness solutions. I'm Dr. Michael Bookhardt, your host, and today we have a very special episode lined up just for you. Now, before I get into that, I want you to know that Telehealth Tuesday can be viewed on multiple platforms, including our YouTube channel. That's right, Dr. B, the word doctor spelled out DOCTOR, the letter B is in boy, TV, and also on personal Instagram and Facebook pages. Facebook page, Michael Bookhardt, MD, MBA. Please follow, like, share, and subscribe, most importantly, to help this very important program. Now, but before we get into it, I want to let you know, I want to tell you all about our next very special guest, Coach Leroy Fredrick, Assistant Head Coach, Alcorn University. Let me tell you about this gentleman, and we're going to let him get into that, and he's going to fill in all the blanks. But I want you to know that he's got over 20 years of coaching experience. He was with the Heart of Texas. He was Heart of Texas Bowl champion in Hutchinson, national championship coach, Alcorn State 2014. SWAC champion 2014 to 2018 to 2019, Celebration Bowl 2018-2019. Got a list of All-American players. He's been a offensive assistant, defensive back coach, director of equipment operations, director of player development, and again, he serves now as the assistant head coach at Alcorn University. So I see him in the backstage. Coach, how you feeling? You ready back there? All right, I think we got your mic on. I'm going to go ahead and let's bring him in. Ladies and gentlemen, stand and cheer. Welcome from far and near for Assistant Coach Leroy Fredrick. Go ahead and give it to him.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that, Doc.
Yeah, how you feeling?
Man, good. On the road recruiting and just got in and grabbed a quick bite and say, let's get on this telehealth and see what we can do.
Man, I truly appreciate you for joining us. I know you're a busy man. Like you said, you're on the road. You're on the road right now and busy recruiting, man, for Alcorn. I know that's such a big rival. Tell us, for all of our folks, before we get into the bio, tell us about that rivalry, man. We're not trying to stir the pot here now, but tell us what makes Alcorn University different. Well, not just from Jackson State, but from other universities. What makes it so special to you?
Alcorn State uh, has really grown on me and my family. My daughter attends there now. Hopefully, she can finish this semester of nursing school and be petitioning you for a job at some point.
Okay.
But just the closeness of the alumni, just the family atmosphere that it hosts, during your time there, after your time there, is just amazing. And then when you talk about that rivalry, being so close and being in the same division, basically having kids that have played together at high school, Little League, grew up together, and now one goes to Alcorn, one goes to Jackson. That
Wow.
just makes it even a bigger family rivalry. You want that 365 days to talk about that L you just gave the other school. So that's in a nutshell, man. That's how that kind of goes.
Awesome. And did you play for Alcorn yourself before?
No, I did not.
You did. Okay.
No, I did not.
Gotcha. Well, I'd love to get into. I know I read some basics off your bio, but please feel free to let our listening audience know. Telehealth Tuesday. Who you are, man. What you're doing, all these great things, and maybe whatever you want to fill in about your background.
You kind of hit it. I got to the state of Mississippi from coaching at Pearl River Community College down in Poplarville, Mississippi, right outside of Hattiesburg, South Mississippi. And from there, was able to foster a relationship with Coach Fred McNair, Tony Pecoraro, Cedric Thomas, guys like that. And when something came open at Alcorn, they came to Pearl River and said, "Hey, we got a job, your position." And the rest has been history since 2014 as far as the coaching side of it goes. but I am originally a Floridian, and
Fellow
by way
Florida.
of yeah, yeah, we were talking offline like that. I didn't know, and then you've been talking for a couple weeks, and once you start to really talk to people, you learn that it's a small world.
Yeah, man, that's crazy. So you were born and raised in Florida?
Born and raised Polk County, 863.
What? Go Polk County. That's all right, man. Well, yeah, I wanted to bring you on tonight. And by the way, please let everyone know about your podcast. I know you were I was on your show a few weeks ago. Man, had a great time with you. Just I'd love for you to tell our listeners about what you do and the name of your show and what you're doing with that.
Common Man Pad Podcast. You can find it on YouTube, Twitter, IG as well under that tag, Common Man. But on Twitter, which is X now, it's the underscore Coach underscore Fred. You can find it there. We're Wednesdays, 5 p.m. Central. And what we try to do there is we run it in a two-part show. So the first part, we have people like Dr. Bookhardt on there that's talking about health, how it relates to athletics, but mainly to the community that we serve. So, we want to make sure that they understand and know that not just sports, but we want to give you a little bit more. And, from that, we spill off into what the HBCU sector is. So it's a health HBCU football
Hmm.
podcast.
Awesome, man. That's amazing. Well, I wanted to, and just a quick pause for the cause. I see a few people are coming in. It's we've got our Instagram audience here. So hello to everyone joining in the world of Instagram. I think we've got a few new viewers there. I see some new names, and so I wanted to let everyone know Telehealth Tuesday again can be viewed every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. This is a show where we don't make any money off of this. This is truly myself and any of the guests that are on here. Nobody's paid any honorariums or any money, and so we're just doing it because we all love the community and we want to give back. And so again, we appreciate Coach Fredrick for being gracious enough while on the road recruiting for the Alcorn University to spend the next 52 minutes with us. So with that said, let's touch on a few topics. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, please feel free to add your comments, questions, or even concerns or anything you want to know about, what he does and coaching. And people might say, well, how does this translate to health? It all comes back to health because this is athletes who are out there and sometimes practicing in the hot sun. Sometimes, unfortunately, they've had issues. And so if athlete is dehydrated or they get out there, they get a lot of muscle cramps, they have rhabdomyolysis. The hospital are taking care of a lot of those. And then, or sometimes when you're doing sports physicals and, what the things you have to look for and listen for, because sometimes you've had athletes with enlarged hearts and hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. So there's a lot of ways that this still kind of intersects with health. But I wanted to touch on some topics: mentoring youth, how to stay positive, culture and identity, and also professionalism and how to govern yourself. So my first question is, as a coach and mentor, how do you reach these young athletes beyond the field, to help shape their mindset and their character?
And that's a great question. And that's kind of what the podcast started off as being. We want to make sure that we are not just talking to these young men about the sport that they play. We want to make sure that we're helping them beyond the field. And doing that is putting people like yourself in front of them so that they see the black doctors like yourself, Dr. Fred, who's a Alcorn State alum.
Absolutely.
They need to see y'all
Shout out.
and they need to understand that it's obtainable. It's something that we can do, you can do. Maybe not the medical field,
Hmm.
but there's other professions outside of, okay, we fall short of the football, basketball, whatever the athletic deal is. we've got to be able to function in real life. And that's what we always talk about, real life. So we want to make sure that we're mentoring them, not just as, behavioral, but we want to make sure that we're mentoring them on dress, how they talk, keeping themselves groomed, who they're hanging around, understanding that, the crowd you are in is who you're perceived to be. And, the mentoring aspect is trying to make sure that they know how to come in for an interview with Dr. B and conduct themselves well in that interview.
Absolutely.
So, the mentoring is very big, and it's way beyond the field.
Absolutely. That's so important. And I know that, Coach Prime, I know that those are some of the things he seems to embody as well. I think we might have probably lost you there for just a second. Okay. All right. There we go. I think that, yes, I know that he and a lot of other coaches embody that. I just know that, can you, okay, I know that he embodies those things, when it's so much more than just playing football, or playing basketball or whatever sport, but there's so much more to it. Uh, and so, but I think we're okay. Can you? Okay, I think we lost. Let me try to. Let's see if the mic. Yeah, your mic's on my end. I think might have to unmute it there on your end, maybe. Let's see. I think we. And ladies and gentlemen, it is live. So I think I might be mute on your end, Coach, or if I can, you want to click, you want to log back on. Like, let's see if that might help you. Let's. Okay. Okay. I think I can try something now. Okay. So you want to give it a test? I think we can hear you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, there, Coach? Okay. We might. Let's see if we can.
No,
Yeah. Okay. I got you now. I can hear you now.
okay. I put it on Do Not Disturb. I'm not even sure how a call got through there, but
Oh yeah, it might have been the settings and favorites and all that. They
yeah,
still.
here we go.
Yeah.
My
Okay.
bad. All
Okay.
right.
No problem at all. No, I was just saying. I know that you're a real positive guy, and the things that you touched on, just like it appears that Coach Prime and some of those other guys that are on those huge stages and stuff like that, and they're talking about the importance of professionalism and how to govern yourself. Not just on the field, but it's so important to have other aspects, of yourself under, being able to handle yourself under pressure, knowing how to dress, how to tie a tie for young men. So all those,
Right.
yeah, man. So yeah,
Right. That's an underrated deal. You'd be surprised at how many of these young men don't know how to tie a tie. Uh, you'd be surprised at how many of them, uh, something as simple as what we would say to change a tire. So the teaching aspect, the mentoring aspect goes way past the field. And I don't know if a lot of people understand, 'cause I think they think we just play games, dog.
playing
We
game.
practice and we play games. But it's so much more than that, man. We got guys that, you know, don't have that father figure. And before you know it, that's what you become to them. We have guys that have issues when things arise at home that they don't know how to handle it, they don't know how to take care of it. So that's when they spend time in our office. And, that has nothing to do with football,
Hmm.
and that's the underrated side of things when we're talking about athletics that I don't think a lot of people see or even, understand. Because you can think back to when you were in school, and I'm sure at some point in medical school, there was somebody that you had to talk to that may not have been, your father or even related to you to, get you back centered, get you back under control. And, that's what we find ourselves being, even a lot of times when we don't want to be. that's when we find ourselves doing that.
Yeah,
We find
absolutely.
ourselves flying kids home for funerals. We find ourselves giving kids, well, probably, yeah, it's fine. It's NIL. We can talk about it now.
Yeah, right.
You know,
Yeah.
giving kids, money for a meal that they can't get
Right.
outside the cafeteria. It's just so many things that go into it that has nothing to do with football. And that's one of those things that when you talk about mentoring and trying to be that positive person for them in their lives, that's where it comes in at.
Absolutely, man. And we praise God for that, man. Amen. For you all brothers that are there to do that, man, in these kids' lives, these young men, especially because I know that how important that was, and I still even I saw Brother Darren Green, who was I don't know if he was a father. He was more of I guess, a big brother figure, and Dr. Elvis Epps. So shout out to those guys if you're listening. And they really stepped in and played a major role in my life back then, and taking me to the, basketball court. Brother Epps is a Navy. I was ex-military, ex-Navy, and so they go to on the naval base, and we playing basketball, and Darren Green helping us mentor and shaping us, man. And so that's important. Okay, so let's get to our first question from the audience. This is my lovely mother, and she says, do you mentor only young people who want to play sports?
No. So, we have, and it's funny she says that because we had two managers that was a part of the program that I became that for. And, was still in contact with those two kids that graduated 2, 3 years ago. And, they still call me, still check on them. They had an opportunity to further their careers outside of what their majors were with an NFL team in the equipment room. But that was never a thought of theirs. But once they got into it, of course, the sports side took over. But yeah, those kids weren't players.
Hmm.
And there's several kids on campus that, when they see you, hey coach, what's happening? They know you, they know me, and I don't know them. But
Right, right.
any of those kids really that attach themselves to us, man, we take them in and we try to do our best with them in that situation, in the mentoring situation.
Mm. Awesome, awesome. Um, Next question is from Jasmine Briscoe. We appreciate you always, Jasmine, joining us, always supporting, and as we support you as well. So Jasmine says, do you have a program outside of Alcorn University? Are you
Outside of that,
mentoring? I guess she's mentoring or something like that, I guess.
well, I hadn't gotten to that point. Dr. B, I've been invited to come speak at athletic banquets. Um, it was a boys program for at-risk kids, so I opened myself for that. But as far as just the mentoring program, I hadn't thought about that.
Hmm.
But I guess someone else has that idea, so I need to look
Yeah,
into it.
awesome. Great questions, everyone. Keep them coming. Um, well, my next question was, I wanted to talk about a time. Is there a moment, where you saw a young athlete truly turn their life around? And if you can think of that one moment that really, sticks out in your mind, what role did like positive mentorship play in that transformation of that individual?
Um, it was probably my first year coaching, Doc, and it was a situation of where it was a less talented young man, and he, for whatever reason, he took to whatever I said to the group as far as practicing went. If I said go 5 yards, he went 5 yards. He made a point of that. And like I said, he was not very talented on the field. Great kid. And he came to me and he put it in a way like, okay, this is my senior year. I know I'm not going to play.
Hmm.
Um, Probably not going to college. I don't know how to get to college. You know
Mm.
where we from, coach, that kind of thing. And it was from that point that I was like, okay, you can't say that. So we're gonna figure it out. So we went in there to the counselor. It just so happened to be my high school, and the counselor there was the counselor there when I was in school.
Wow.
Uh, yeah. So Miss Bosworth, God rest her soul,
Mm,
uh, she helped me. We put together something. It wasn't a bad kid, had good grades, just did not know how to get to college. And he knew it wasn't going to work for him athletically. And when we got that done and he got accepted and went on to school, I knew at that point that it was a bigger deal than football. Because before then, it was all about trying to get, these two guys that I have that are really good kids, really good players,
hmm
to college. Never even thinking about the eighth kid in the room, thinking about the first kid, the second kid,
Yeah.
never thinking about the eighth kid in the room, the eighth receiver. And he had just as big a desire as any of those other kids wanted to go to college, just didn't know how to do it. And again, lo and behold, one of those little small moments,
hmm
you dive in, you get it done, and they really appreciate it. And then you start feeling like, oh, we can do this for everybody then,
That's
and it
right.
just kind of takes over.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So do you I wonder what so that young man, did he went on to play college ball from, or he?
Now he just went on to school as a just as a student.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay, okay. Oh, because I know you were saying, I guess, with talent wise, he, it probably wasn't for him.
right, right.
That,
And that was his whole mindset was that I'm not going to be able to get a scholarship, so I'm not going to be able to go to college. Student
oh, got you. Oh,
athletic scholarship. Yeah.
okay, okay. I was going. Let's going back to kind of culture and identity. How would you say uh, the unique culture at Alcorn University and its HBCU legacy shape the way that you coach and lead, like the culture at Alcorn?
It's a winning culture. Our saying is, rings and degrees. That's our goal.
Rings
Rings
and
on the
degrees.
field
Okay,
and those degrees out of the classroom.
right.
When we take pride in that, and that's what we want to make sure they take pride in that. If they were anything like me in high school, Doc, uh, it was just enough. I'm gonna do just enough to get what I need to get, and get by and all that.
Yeah.
Um, you know, Talented, uh, blessed, so to speak, in the athletic field. So just enough. And now I'm seeing those same kids, and it's just like, okay, maybe this really is the purpose,
Yeah.
the bigger meaning. Hey, man, I've been there, done that. This ain't what it is. This is how you need to go about it. And I think that part of the culture has taken over. It wasn't always that way, but now they understand they have to go to study hall. Now they understand they've got to have good grades at midterm and not just the old. And you probably would, because you went to middle school, so you probably wouldn't like us in college where we were like, okay, midterm, that means I got another half a semester to get it right.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. Exactly.
So just getting that mindset to, you know, it ain't just enough. We need to do a little bit more. Um,
Yeah.
let's make sure midterms look right. And that way, when we get to the end, we're not struggling. We're not hustling. We're not sweating it out, waiting on them to post them grades because we already know what it is.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's Jasmine. Jasmine has a question. She says, "What do you normally recommend for your team's self care outside of the?" Now, look, but look, before we get into her, coach. Now, look, Jasmine's become a friend of mine over this last year, I would say, and she's been on the show a couple of times actually. She's an amazing licensed massage therapist, and she does a ton of other
Okay.
things. I've said it multiple episodes, but she's truly gifted in what she does right here in Jackson, Mississippi. And but she, the funny thing is, she always relates everything back to massage some way. So I'm thinking, we asked this question, she gonna find her way somehow into massage. So she says, "What do you normally recommend for your team self care outside of the field and to keep mental health balanced?"
So we talk about the mental health, like you said. And I mean, you could probably speak to this more than I can. Before COVID, Doc, I don't know if mental health was a subject. I know it was real,
Hmm.
but it wasn't a big subject like it is now. Would you agree with me on that?
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. 100%.
So, we talked to them about that on that side. We try to get, last year we were able to get a massage therapist to come in midpoint during the off week and spend time with the team. It was their responsibility to sign up during the time slots for her. And, she talked them through some stuff that they can do by themselves when she's not there. And like I said, that's something that we want to implement in the self care part. But the mental health part, we brought people in, and maybe I can talk to you offline. We bring them in, we bring people in during camp every Monday, I think it was every Monday, to sit down and talk to the guys. And, no coaches in there. That way they speak freely. They're having issues. Um, they can talk to this person about it,
Okay.
and we can kind of go from there. So
Yeah.
that's kind of where we are in a nutshell with the self care for them, and we're trying to get more of that.
That's yeah. We can definitely talk about it, and I'm glad you mentioned you touched on that because I know Jasmine's going. She's gonna, but that massage is gonna come. It's gonna be in her next question, Coach. I already know it is, but we appreciate you. Um, but yeah, you touched on something that's so vital because even I didn't pay as much attention, before COVID to mental health. It's always been important, and we take psychology type class, psychiatry in medical school, and we do rotations. Every person throughout their medical school matriculation, and you do a psychiatry rotation. But unless you become a psychiatrist, a lot of times we don't. It's not something that we focus on, but after COVID, man, and especially when I was working as a hospitalist, I mean, it was just terrible, and so many employees were just battling depression, and there was a few, incidents of suicidal attempts, and these are doctors, nurses, respiratory therapists, CNAs. I mean, so yeah, I think more than ever, it is so important. And then in the Black community, one of the things we do is, a lot of times we unfortunately sweep it under the rug because we say, well, I'm a Christian, and especially here in the Bible Belt, yeah, in the Bible Belt, we say, well, Jesus is going to handle it all, and of course, I believe that God is going to help us get through, but the good Lord gives us gifts and talents, and we got to utilize that. So yeah, definitely mental health is so important, and you don't know, and I've seen firsthand, you don't know what a person is capable of when they get really pushed or they're at the brink of it all. People have these mental breaks, or they have these psychotic episodes, or whether it's
Mhm.
depression. And yeah, man, you never know what a person is capable of, or how depression can really affect you, and mess up your life. And so yeah, it's so important. Fear was triggered post COVID. Jasmine, she said fear was triggered post COVID. Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, definitely that was triggered. Okay, so another question I wanted, when it comes to, you know, like when we talk about governing yourself, and we talk about role models and the importance of just not just on the field, your presence, but off the field. Like what does it mean to you when somebody says to govern yourself in the professional world, and how do you teach that discipline to these young student athletes?
My saying is, we're gonna keep it all on the table, and what that means is we're gonna keep everything in front of us, and we're gonna take it head on. Um, so I set the table for you. So you've got your plate, you've got your drink, you got whatever your condiments are gonna be, your hot sauce, your salt, your pepper, your napkins, all that. So we've all done it. We go to reach for something and we knock the drink over. And what happens instantly after that? We panic and then we start to knock everything else over.
That's right.
just keep it all on the table. Understand getting there in a split second is not going to change how much drink is left in that cup. Just
Mm.
get there under control. Just think it through and relax, and then we'll go from there. So when we're talking about the long run, the the long game, is we want to make sure that we set ourselves up. Are we perfect as people? No, we understand that,
Mm-hmm.
and we want to make sure, and especially me when I'm talking about the mentoring part of it, I want to make sure that they know that I'm not looking down on. Them. We're human, and we enjoy human things, but we have to understand where that line is. And to them as young people,
Mm-hmm.
the new saying, and I don't know if you've heard it, Doc. I don't know how many come through your deal. They're young, coach. I'm about to crash out. Well,
That's right. Yeah. Crash out. Yeah.
yeah. So my thing with them, if we're not talking about keeping it all on the table, one crash out, one small crash out for 5 minutes could cost you everything. And at the end of that, was that crash out worth it? You know what I mean? So the biggest issue we have with them in the long game is making sure they understand that a lot of the trends, a lot of the stuff they see is not real life, Doc. It's not your life.
Mm-hmm.
Understand what your life is. Understand what you're watching is not always the real. Some of it is simulated, some of it is put together. But at the end of the day, my life is not the same as Dr. B's.
Mm-hmm.
So what I see Dr. B do, I probably can't emulate that.
Mm-hmm.
But there's nothing wrong with watching it in an environment. But understand the long game. And in the minutes you can do that and you can see it and understand being in the minute, in the moment,
Mm-hmm.
I think they start to turn the corner. And it's kind of like one of the things that me and you talked about offline.
Mm-hmm.
I just think they're just so a lot of times just so into that bravado that you know you ain't punking me, that kind of thing.
That's right.
And you know, hey, look, man, we tell them all, the thugs don't go to college, man. You
So
know, real thugs don't go to college.
going to college, man.
And they just need to understand that and understand, it's nothing wrong with being a college student. There's
Mm-hmm.
nothing wrong with being a good guy. There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with saying yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, sir, no, sir. Nobody's asking you to sell out or do anything like that. But there's nothing wrong with that. And matter of fact, in the long game, it's going to help you. So,
Yeah.
that's one of the things that we try to make sure they understand in the long game of everything.
Yeah. Absolutely. Danica Thomas, one of our YouTube subscribers here, she says, "Do you discuss with your athletes the importance of giving back to their previous school or community?" Great question.
Mm. Uh, we encourage the community service aspect. So we have kids that will go out and read to the local elementaries. We have kids. So last semester, I was a part of a program with one of the one of the middle schools. I'm sorry, that was there in the Fayette area, where would pick kids to go over and play this play 30 with the kids in the gym,
Mm-hmm.
and just go over. They're going to spend 30 minutes in the gym playing with the kids, giving them something positive to look at, and then also keeping them moving and understanding the exercise part of it. And then it'll be something that can come back and help you in the long run as well. You never know who's watching you in that gym when you graduate that may can help you get a job.
That's right. That's right.
There's nothing wrong with having manners.
Yeah. Yeah, they take you a long way. Um, Jasmine is asking, do you? I think she had two quite. Yeah, Jasmine said, do you practice meditation in therapy, and also do you practice breathing exercises?
I personally don't. I know the kids do with the strength coach. He has this whole little thing with them where they'll come in there and it's called regen, where they're, they take their shoes off and they'll do all this, this stuff.
The
Uh,
Zen.
yeah. So for me, it's close my eyes, count to three deep breaths, and okay, let's continue on with whatever it is we're in. But as far as the kids, the strength coach Gann does a good job with them with the regen, with that.
Awesome. Awesome. Let's see here. Another question. Mom is asking, why do you think that so many black young men are angry and quick to kill another black peer rather than trying to enjoy life?
Kind of like we just talked about, Doc. I think it's a deal of where nobody wants to look soft. Nobody wants to feel like they back down in a moment. And when you get that from both sides, and then not to mention that a lot of times uh, there's females around. So no,
Right.
of course, nobody
Exactly.
wants to look like that in front of the ladies.
Exactly.
And I don't think they really understand the finalization of some of the stuff that they kind of find themselves in. And the angry part is that's what they see. That's what they idolize. That's what they see as being the positive thing, uh, the cool, the hap.
Hmm.
For us, um, I'm trying to think. In the '90s was really when it was kind of changing, but for us, it was the it was the fun music. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
Uh,
Exactly. Right.
it's no more fun music. It's a little fun music sprinkled in,
Hmm.
but everything else is, gangster. And they don't quite understand how to separate that, kind of like we talked about. And that's kind of one of the deals in the mentoring part of it, man. We kind of have to let them know that, man, if you think you're listening to and I'm just gonna say it name, Lil James, you
Yeah.
think Lil James is doing that in real life, man, you
Right.
got bigger issues.
It's just like when I remember, I won't call his name, but there was a very legendary rapper, and he rapped with some of the greats back in the day, and he's still rapping. He's known for smoking pounds and pounds of weed every month, But this legendary rapper, it was like growing up listening to him, like you said, in the '90s, and I was blown away to find out he lives in like the Palisades and L.A. He doesn't live anywhere close to the hood, and he might have come up in Compton and all of that, but after that
313.
he ain't never looked back. So and that was my first thing, saying, man, these guys, like they can talk about truth, but that's not something that they continue to live every day. And
No.
but I'll probably just chime in a little on the question. I think so many are angry because in this time and age, this country, first of all, there's the alienation of the black man from society, whether we as men alienate ourselves from the children lives. Like, there's things that we could certainly do better and be more consistent. Like, say if a person is divorced or they were never married and the man is not in the house. So sometimes we drop the ball, or maybe we just could be sorry. So we're not around, or it might be a person who wants to be there, but then he's constantly blocked at every, a chance he
Hmm.
gets. And
Hmm.
so, either, like I say, and there's other instances, but bottom line, the alienation of the black man, and so they're not around to help and shape and mold these children, especially these boys. And then, like you said, you've got social media. Um, the young ladies are around, and so they want to kind of pop off, and they want to do that and impress them. So many reasons why, in society these days, and also this is glamorized, like you said, with the rappers and all that. It's glamorized, just stealing and killing and talking ignorant and all that. And that's why even people, you might have heard it maybe when you were coming up. Somebody say, hey, you're not sitting around splitting verbs and talking crazy. You talk proper. You talk proper. And that was in the '80s and '90s.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, yeah, it's not cool to be proper or be polite and have manners. And so that starts from childhood. Then the father's not there or not allowed to be there, and then you got society. So I think it's a multifaceted, kind of situation.
Yeah, and then I'll add as well before we close that question out, Doc, and you can probably think back to instances where for us. So for me, and I'm speaking for me as a coach, um, I won't talk to a parent about playing, about little Johnny getting out there. We're not going to talk about that. Now, if it's an issue, that he said something to you that you want to bring, then we'll talk about it. But
Mm-hmm.
then with that same tone, same token, a lot of people don't want you to coach their kids hard, Doc.
Mm.
And that's the same in life. You know, when we sit there and we see, kids at Little League or we see them on a basketball court, you could probably go to any court in Jackson right now. If the kids are playing,
Mm-hmm.
first of all, if they are outside playing basketball, right?
Right. Yeah. First.
Uh, they may see you, and let's say they recognize you're sitting there watching the game,
Mm-hmm.
and they just get to popping off cuss words you ain't never heard, right? Um, the minute you say something to that kid, then he says something to the parent. Now you got to fight to get out of that part because you said something to Johnny. You know what I mean? And I think that's part of it as well because when we were coming up, it was nothing for Miss Letha May to call Hattie, my grandma, and tell her I was down there at the park cutting the food. That's what they used to say back in the day, down there cutting the food.
Yeah, that's
And
right. That's right.
Hattie wasn't gonna say nothing to Miss Letha May. Hattie was gonna have an issue with me. You
Uh,
know, now fast forward, that happens. Now Hattie gonna go down there, and now Letha May got to see Hattie because Letha May had no business saying nothing to her baby. And I think that just kind of goes on and on and on, and before we know
yeah.
it, they're 18, 19, and then here we are having those kind of issues that we could have probably corrected a long time ago had we let the village
The
go
village.
do what it's supposed to do, which is raise them up, right?
Yeah, it definitely takes a village, and you can, like you said, you can see the difference now because you're not able to. Uh, People are so easily offended, man, and people are so quick to sue, and so um,
Yeah,
I've seen it, personally even, and it's like, well, wait a minute, and sometimes even in uh, your own household, like person say, well, mom allows me to do this, and then when the dad, whether he's in the house or not, he come and he wants to be stern, and like you said, you talked about coaching hard, but you might just say being a stern parent, and it's kind of like mom said, well, don't beat my child. To say, well, wait a minute now, because I had 50% half in making this child my child. So anyway, I won't go on. Let me go on to it because I don't get me started. Danica Thomas has a couple things, and we're gonna go to Bianca. Let's see. Danica says, and these are great questions, guys. Please keep them coming. Could you discuss how important it is that the athletic department and the curriculum staff have a solid relationship to assist the athletes to meet their goals? Great question.
yeah. So that's kind of what we do. We have the advisors for just the athletes. So their advisors are a little different than a regular uh, student, and within that, we try to set it to a deal of where we can base it to give the kid an opportunity. Now, we're not going to tell uh, John that he can't major in so and so. We're not going to tell him that, right? But we're going to help him understand, the success of it. You know what I mean? Uh, his chances to be successful here with the body of work, not that it can happen, but with the body of work that we have, this is probably where we need to lean to be successful to finish up with our degree. Okay, this is
Mhm.
what we're thinking. So the connection, the relationship between those two is really, really huge for us, just to make sure that they trust us, they trust our advisors, um, to make sure they're going to be successful.
Yeah,
4 for 40 is what we call that program. The next 4 years uh, shapes you for the next 40 years outside of here.
man, I like that, man. I like that. That's awesome. Um, how and she also how she says, so a secondary question. She says, how important is your relationship with the curriculum staff while you're out recruiting?
Yeah. So for us right now, with the way that things have changed within the high school recruiting and things like that, we want to make sure that we get the transcript first and foremost. Because if that transcript is not going to allow him to get into Alcorn State University, then we're wasting, that time. We're wasting the young man's time, and we could move on and put people in a different direction to be successful.
Hmm.
So we'll get that transcript. Now that I'm on the road, I'll get that transcript emailed to me from the counselor before I even see the kid, just to make sure that the kid is where he needs to be academically coming out of high school.
Okay.
Back to our kids while we're off campus right now recruiting. That's where uh, our staff, our academic staff comes in, because now they finish up and they got them all the way through the semester, the rest of the semester, to make sure that everybody's good and finishes strong, with no eligibility issues at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's go to Bianca. Good evening. Um, Considering that young black men go through so much and sometimes shut down or shut people out, how do you get your players to separate their personal issues or problems when they go out there on the field? Great question.
So we have this thing called in my room, called the fugitive rule. I don't
Future,
know if you
future.
remember the old movie The Fugitive.
Yeah, with um,
Tommy,
Harrison, Harrison Ford. Harrison,
Harrison Ford
Harrison Ford, yeah.
and Tommy, and
And
there
Tommy
was
Lee
a
Jones was he on?
yeah,
Tommy,
he was the Fed,
yeah.
that chased him down. So the fugitive rule, when he finally caught him in that tunnel before he jumped off in Niagara Falls, he
Oh,
was
yeah.
like, freeze. And he was like, I didn't kill my wife. And Tommy looks at him and goes, I don't care. My job is to bring you in.
Right.
And then he turns and jumps off. So the fugitive rule for us is, and it's important that they understand, and I want to make sure that the listeners understand when I say this so it doesn't come off as harsh. When we cross in between those lines, I don't care. I don't
Mm,
care what's going on in Orlando. I don't
mm,
care what's going on in Mulberry. I don't care what's going on in Tampa. When we're in between these lines, this is what we're going to handle. But they also understand and know before that, that once we get outside of those lines, come talk to me.
mhm,
Let's let's hammer it out. Let's get everything straight. Um, let's go ahead and make sure that you're good mentally. But we're not going to come in between those lines and not get away from that issue for that
mhm,
little 2 hours. Um, if we can clear our mind for those 2 hours, who knows? That situation might work itself out. But if we drag it on through 2 hours of practice and then right back into it, uh, and it never stops and it's just continuous,
mm.
now I think that's where the mental stuff starts to come
The-
in. Use
mhm,
this as an outlet, basically. Fugitive rule. We in between those lines, that whistle blows, and we get ready to stretch. Nothing else matters. As soon as it's over, we say the Lord's Prayer. 1, 2, 3, team. Coach, can I talk to you? Okay, cool. Here we go. That's kind of how we kind of do that. Try to do that anyway.
absolutely. Those are great points, great questions, and great answer. Let's go to Octavia. Octavia says, I remember when I was younger, there were so many neighborhood sports programs available to kids whose families were financially challenged. Those programs helped with anger issues and provided an escape from the problems of a troubled home life. Everything costs so much now. Are there still programs that exist for these communities?
I would have to believe that if in Jackson they should still have a PAL, because they still have PAL here in Florida, Police Athletic League.
Oh,
I think what they're speaking to more so is what she's speaking to is, yeah, everything has changed to the AAU world,
that's right.
travel ball, and those things are very expensive. no doubt about it.
Mm. Oh
When
yeah.
we were coming up, to go over there and play little league football, it's $35 in your physical. That ain't here no more.
No
so,
way. No way. No way.
but they still have the police athletic league here. Um, I'll be curious. I got to believe that Jackson has that as well. But for the most part, everybody's in it to make a dollar now, Doc.
Yeah,
So
man.
I'm gonna get my own AAU team. I'm gonna charge everybody $500 to travel over the summer.
Yeah.
And if you got it, you got it. If you don't, you don't. And I'm afraid that that's kind of what has happened to her question. And that's kind of how a lot of kids just got turned off and don't want to do it anymore because they just don't have the means.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. She also says, are there mentorship programs available to the kids who do not meet the academic requirements?
So on Alcorn State University campus, they have a counseling department that you can go talk to. And you don't have to be athlete. You don't have to have any money. It's a free deal, uh, free department to come in and talk to. And that just came about because of the COVID deal. So I think there's two licensed counselors on campus that the regular students can go talk to, or even the athletes can go talk to on campus at any point. You just have to make the appointment and go see them.
Awesome. Awesome. I think we'll 7:52. We've got about 10 minutes in total left. And before we go, we always want to give Coach the opportunity, like all the guests, to talk again, kind of reiterate or mention where, well, we know where you're at, but also any other things that you want the audience to know that you're working on, uh, any kind of, last minute encouraging messages, how they can contact you, so stuff like that. So, matter of fact, let me just give you the floor right now. We'll take uh, two more questions, guys. So the next two questions, I have a couple others so if you guys want to ask, take it away. If not, I've got something I'm going to ask him. But I'd love to give you the floor right now to let the audience know, we know where you are, but what else you're doing in the community, if you need some assistance from the community and how we can help you do what you're doing with the youth and also how they can find you.
I appreciate it, Doc. But like you said, on Wednesdays, 5 p.m. Central, I do my podcast. You can find it on YouTube, Common Man Podcast. Go like, share the page. We've had Doc on there, and like you said at the beginning, people may want to know, wonder how having a doctor on a sports show, how does it come together?
Mm-hmm.
And my thing was, and I got a guest that's coming in a couple, and I got to let you know when he comes so you can tune in, Doc.
Absolutely.
Where I'll kind of give my just personal story for a minute. Uh, we as black men sometimes tend to not want to go to the doctor,
Mm-hmm.
and that in the end kind of it can be life threatening. And
Absolutely.
my friend that's gonna come onto the show, I don't want to give it away, but the age for colonoscopies have changed, right? When you're supposed to go get them, uh, not knowing he didn't go get one until later.
Mm.
Just so happens they were able to uh, catch, so to speak, and he's going to explain the whole story.
Okay.
Chemo, he's cancer free now,
Man.
but
Praise
that
God.
he went when the age what it was required for him to go. We
Mm-hmm.
may have caught this before, so he encouraged me to go. So Doc, I count to three, and you hear all the horror stories about those, and I'm like, I'm too young, blah blah. Like, nah, the age changed. You need to go.
Yeah.
So, long story short, I go. Um,
Absolutely.
he says that they found two things, but he thinks they're not cancerous, but they're gonna send him out to make sure.
Okay. Okay.
The next couple of days, I'm a wreck because I don't know what's going
Yeah.
on because
Yeah.
in my mind, I'm like, I wasn't going anyway. I
Right.
was supposed to go. And then, he finally calls me. He's like, just like we thought, send it back. You're perfectly healthy. Um, Make sure you tell your friends. Early detection is the key. So the sports part of it, come on in. The
Mm-hmm.
doctor part of it is now where, okay, I didn't know the age changed to 45. Oh,
Right.
snap, I'm 45. I
Right.
need to go get tested.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't have insurance, so I don't know if I have high blood pressure or not. Well, I'm not. I probably don't. I'm 5'11. I'm 180. Walmart has free. Oh, snap. I got high. I really need to go see somebody.
Yep.
Well, this is what Doc is talking about.
Yeah.
This is what Dr. Kingsley is talking about when he comes on the show.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I get to work. I feel fatigued. I'm not really cramping, but my legs.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, hydration. Man,
Hydration.
I heard that on Coach Fred's podcast. Dr. B was talking about staying hydrated, this, that, and the third. So that's how we try to marry it, just to make sure that, we're getting our community. It's probably more so men than women, but you probably know those numbers a little better than me.
Mm-hmm.
But I just want to make sure that we are educating. I'm no doctor, you are. That's why we want to bring you on the show,
Mm-hmm.
to give that kind of knowledge. So every Wednesday, uh, now I've kind of ran out of doctors. I don't want to double back on Dr. V too much or Dr. Kinsley. So I'm
Hey,
kind of waiting on some folks to get back with me to
yeah.
come on. We want to make sure we get Dennis on. Like I said, we
Yeah.
want to get someone to
Anytime.
get on and talk about colonoscopy. We want to get a foot doctor on. We want to get an eye doctor on. And we've been in contact with all of those. Now they just kind of recognize their schedule because we do it on a Wednesday at 5 o'clock, to try to fit it into where everybody can kind of get a little bit. And then somebody told me, and I was unaware of this. It was like, Wednesday's a bad night. That's usually when people go to church. I'm like,
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah.
so that's kind of what we do. That's the aim. Um, Doc, just trying to do my 1/10
Yep.
to help anybody in the comments. Uh, ever need to holler at your nephew, your son, your sister's cousin, little boy, whatever, willing to do that. Whatever we can do, if we can save one, hey, that's pocket.
Yeah. It's worth it, man. It's worth it because man, I really appreciate you for coming on and all the things that you do in the
Thank you for having me.
community. Yeah, absolutely. And that's so needed, man. Because my mother and I were talking about it some years ago when I talked about Brother Epps and Brother Darren Green. It was like, man, where are these guys now? Like it's such a shortage of people. I think he went out right there. Um, it's such a shortage. Okay, there we go. Keep the Jasmine. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Coach? Thank you. Jasmine Briscoe says, this is Michael Bookhardt, MD, MBA. Keep the Telehealth Tuesdays coming. All right, Jasmine. Well, because you said it, we're gonna keep it going. God willing. But we really appreciate the support. I think Coach is still trying to kind of get acclimated there. But can you hear me, Coach? Okay, test. Can you hear me? I think we're trying to get you on there.
No.
Okay,
Oh,
there. Okay, you can hear me now. Okay, I think he's.
so
Yeah, I can hear you.
you can hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
You got me, Doc?
Yeah,
I don't got you though. God.
you can't hear me. There's probably a setting on the phone to turn that volume up, or I
What
don't
is
know if
that?
anything's muted on there. Yeah, just a few technical difficulties there. It's okay.
What about now?
Okay. Oh yeah. Can you hear me?
Let me try.
Okay, we're gonna put the AirPods. I don't. Hopefully that'll help. Those AirPods are a little tricky, man. They can be a little. Okay, testing. What about
I'm
now?
back. Let me jump out, come right back.
Okay, you want to come right back in? Let's see here. We'll see. I think he's gonna come back in just all right. But ladies and gentlemen, we really appreciate you all joining us. Thank you, Jasmine. We will keep the Telehealth Tuesdays coming. We will, okay, add to scene. All right. Coach, can you hear me?
Yeah, I apologize again, man. I don't know how these calls keep coming through.
No problem,
Going
man.
on the server.
No, hey, look, I know you're an important man, and we kept you exactly 1 hour. We're gonna end on this, but no, I was just saying, um, Jasmine was saying keep the Telehealth Tuesdays coming, and Danica Thomas says truly enjoying the show, and they're saying we're educating communities, and I was saying, Coach, thank you so much for being one of those staple figures in the community, man. You're doing such great work at Alcorn University, and like you say, on and off the field, even in between the lines. But when you get outside of those lines, still being there in that role, somewhat of a father figure type role, and a mentorship. And we're trying to do the same here in Jackson and other areas alike. So appreciate you coming on. You guys, you
Thank you.
heard it first. 5 p.m. every Wednesday, the Common Man podcast by Coach Fredrick. Each and every single Wednesday, 5 p.m. We're going to continue to work with him. Appreciate everything you're doing in the community. So, any last thoughts, Coach, before I close it out?
Man, I promise you, the next time you let me on, uh, I'll have my laptop that I normally do my show on. So I won't
No,
have to worry about this phone
oh yeah,
and calls slipping through.
no problem at all, man. It's all good. We just appreciate you being here. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Thank you for watching another episode of Telehealth Tuesday. As always, we love our fantastic audience participation each and every week. Next week, we're going to have an amazing guest. This gentleman, I'll just give you a hint that he's doing some big things in the community. He's writing a play, or has written a play, starring with an all-star cast. And so you'll hear more about that. So stay tuned, Dr. B TV on YouTube, and also Facebook and Instagram pages. And so, God willing, we'll see you on Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. This is the place where we treat and discuss mind, body, and soul. And as always, remember that true wealth begins with good health. Bye for now.